Welcome back to the March edition of Conversations, and I'm so happy to welcome Father Pat Delahanty. Father Pat, thank you for being with us for this middle segment.
Well, I appreciate the invitation.
Let me say a little bit to our viewers about your background. Father Pat is a priest of the Archdiocese of Louisville. He was ordained in 1969, and so I was figuring out the math, you're now in your 5th decade of service as a priest. Father Pat has served as a pastor, as an associate pastor, and as a sacramental moderator in, I think, over 12 parishes. He also served full-time in Catholic Charities with migration services. And since the year 2000, you have been involved with the CCK, or the Catholic Conference of Kentucky, and we'll be talking about what that means. Since 2010, Father Pat has served as the executive director for the CCK, the Catholic Conference of Kentucky. The Catholic Conference is located within Frankfurt, our state capital, and speaks for the Church in matters of public policy. Now, this is of great interest because we're gearing up this year, of course, to presidential election. People will have lots of questions. And I know one of the books that I love, and I know you love, is the book called Forming Consciences for Faithful Citizenship, a Catholic response prepared by the bishops of the United States and reissued recently. Father Pat, tell us a little bit, tell the viewers a little bit about what are the principles, if you would, that are important to be aware of as the Church is appropriately involved in public policy and as citizens, as people of faith, are involved themselves.
Right. I think part of that is contained in the title of the booklet, Forming Consciences. And what that means is that a person to act has to have a well-formed conscience, and so that means they need to be open to the truth, be aware of, use Scripture, study, reflect on Scripture and on the Church's teaching, and be using what they learn and what they experience there to work toward the common good. And the common good takes us into the public arena because how our governments work, how our various states operate, and the policies that are in place have an effect on people. And we have a voice and an understanding of truth that is something that we want to invite others to share. It's not something we try to impose on people, but we invite them to share that. And baptized Catholics, because of that baptism, and have not only the right but also the responsibility to be involved in the public policy-making arena.
So forming a conscience is not just what I feel.
No.
It's much deeper than that.
Right.
It's something beyond that. And it's also not just what's going to personally benefit me.
Exactly.
You mentioned the word common good. We need to be concerned about what, in our eyes, in God's eyes, is going to be a good, solid foundation for living here on earth.
In fact, I recently attended a meeting at the U.S. Bishops' Conference in which it was pointed out clearly that sometimes when you engage in this process of forming conscience and you actually give up what you may think benefits you to achieve that common good because you've come to the awareness that that's what's best for all of us.
Well, you know, as a follower of Jesus, we're all called to a sacrificial love, a love that goes beyond our own personal self. So you're in an important work of the Church, and tell us a little bit about some of the issues. I know we have limited time, but what are some of the specific issues that the Catholic Conference of Kentucky is involved in?
I can highlight just a few of them. For example, obviously, we're always interested in protecting unborn life. And so at this year's General Assembly, there's a couple of pieces of legislation that we're supporting, especially one that deals with a woman who may be seeking an abortion, making sure that she understands what that is, so that we're trying to pass a law that requires that any information she receives would be received in a face-to-face conversation with the medical provider.
This is true informed consent.
True informed consent.
Thank you for the work you're doing in leadership on that.
In another matter that deals with human life, there's a couple of bills that deal with the death penalty, and we're working with the Kentucky Mental Health Coalition and others who deal with people who are mentally ill to try to exclude the death penalty in Kentucky for those who commit very bad crimes, but they're severely mentally ill themselves. And while they must be held accountable and may serve long terms in prison, including life without parole, they should not face a death penalty.
Blessed John Paul II really articulated especially toward the end of his life, how important it is to value all life. Right. And of course, we're finding out with DNA, et cetera, that sometimes people are innocent.
Exactly.
So I think we say that even when someone's not innocent, that it hurts us to take the life of another person.
Exactly.
The respect for life.
And we'll continue to work on that and on replacing the death penalty entirely at some point. We hope to see that happen in Kentucky. Another area you brought up, I believe, religious liberty earlier, and there was a situation in Kentucky where a small group of people who are Amish and who have religious beliefs about what kind of symbols are offensive to them, and they have refused to use these symbols on their buggies. But public safety is also of interest, obviously, and so we must provide for the safety of drivers. And we've been working to see a piece of legislation passed that respects their religious liberty, but also protects Kentucky drivers by changing the law so that a different form of identifying that a buggy's there in the dark can be used.
So it maintains public safety, but in a way that respects their conscience. Right. And you and I know that on a national level, we've been very much involved with mandates and really assaults on religious liberty. Yeah. Now, in this limited time, one of the things our listeners are going to say, well, I desire it, but is my voice being heard? What are a few concrete things that a listener can do to learn more about the issues and to be involved in a responsible way? Well,
we have a website that has a lot of information about the legislation that we work.
If you say it, we'll show it as you're saying.
It's a simple one, www.ccky.org.
Perfect.
And on the homepage, there is a link right below the words, Become a Faithful Citizen Advocate. You can link there, sign up and receive our legislative alerts so you can take action on the bills that we're following.
So even a listener today or a viewer, they can go to that website and they can actually be signed up today.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, very good.
And
very good.
The other thing that happens annually is what we call Catholics at the Capitol. This year it was in Frankfurt. Next year it'll be in the diocese. And those have been successful ways of bringing people together to explain the issues and encourage them to take action. And legislators come to these, so they have access to their legislator, and that's a way of being active. So
next year they will be locally and through the Record and others. By the way, this month we're doing 5 teaching editorials on faithful citizenship and through the Record. Father Pat, I know we're going to have you back because our time is limited. One of the things that is clear, though, is that the bishops, 4 bishops, are very much involved in developing the principles. We are not a partisan group, meaning we're not telling people we don't promote candidates, but we do get involved in public policy issues. And I need to say thank you to you because you work long and hard, and so do those who assist you. Thanks for your faithful involvement, first of all, as a good, fine priest of the Archdiocese, and secondly, for being involved behind the scenes in helping us foster involvement for the common good. I thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much.
And I also want to thank you who are the viewers and the listeners for your involvement in conversations and for your involvement in public policy. Please stay tuned for the 3rd segment. We'll be right back for the March edition of Conversations.